newspapers don't endorse a candidate if he's unopposed,
Yeah.
but they will have to endorse a candidate they don't like and say nice things about him when he's running against somebody they like even less. So in a way, it's a way to get the media machine through. And back then also too, I mean, Newt Gingrich had just a really excellent, he called it the GOP pack, a GeoPack or something, is GOP, but he had a training for insurgent Republican candidates. It was a phenomenal training system. We got cassette tapes every week. We got position papers. We got ways to structure our campaign, talk about finance, all that kind of stuff. We got to understand. I mean, this is the most bizarro part, right? The media will never be on your side as a conservative. They will never print what's right about you, what's true about you. They will never help you out unless it somehow helps them out. And so you're just, every time you walk into a reporter, even though you're like, oh, this guy's friendly, nice, we're talking, we're having a nice conversation, it's not. It's absolutely just like you got to have your guard up 100% time. I mean, one time, this was in the State House thing, and I didn't do a good job at maximizing this opportunity that I think I had at the time. But I talked to a reporter about issues for an hour on the phone. Mm-hmm. And at the very end, 5 minutes before, the thing ended, he says, oh, by the way, the other guy says this about you. And I just said, oh my goodness, that guy's a jerk. He didn't, he doesn't mean that. That's not true. Well, what do you think came into the paper? Not 55 minutes of brilliant policy direction and the way the state needs to be run, education, all the stuff that we talked about, taxation, you name it. No. Rick Wood called the other guy a jerk. He broke the 11th commandment, which is Ronald Reagan's do not criticize another Republican. That was the headline.
How dare you?
Now, having said that, the point in the press is you want to, you want it, there's only two things you want. You want them to print your name and spell it right.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what they say because everybody forget about it. They just remember the name recognition. So you want them, so I didn't do a good job. What I should have done is called up the reporter and doubled down. So because everybody knew that guy was a jerk.
Yeah.
And here I was a guy with the courage enough to call him that. And I should have just said, no, the dude's a jerk because this is what he's doing.
Yeah.
It may have changed things. I think I would say going back and looking at it, the Lord didn't want me to do that. So I didn't do that.
Yeah, standing on your conviction, that's good. But, using the opportunities that you're given, I think a lot of times people, they get a very narrow view, a very myopic view of like, well, I'm not even going to talk to the media because the media is just going to slander me. If you approach it properly, you can use that to your advantage. As long as whatever you say might go back to print, it's sometimes you can use them to be your loud piece for you.
Right. You've got to, I mean, somebody I completely disagree with, but who's incredibly effective at media. And another one I do agree with, who is very good at media. And you look at AOC. I mean, she's a whack job.
Yeah.
But she gets noticed, and she gets in. I mean, the controversial stuff she says, she puts it out there. And in the beginning, Donald Trump, I just did not understand, what is he doing? What is he doing? Why did he do that? Why does he do that? Why does he do that? And in retrospect, I mean, because truly, as bad as they are, they only print stuff you say. They don't print the stuff you don't.
Yeah.
So when they quote you, they have to actually quote you, because if you record them and then they, you can call up their editor and say, this is the tape from what we talked about, and you should fire this guy because he just broke ethics. I mean, so they're pretty cautious about that in most cases. But so a friend of mine was running for prosecutor. He was a great prosecutor. He was an incumbent. He's a Republican. And there was just a total scam that showed up, that some lady said that he, that she had gotten some sort of favors in his office, and then she goes away and dies like 2 weeks after she says this.
Whoa.
She was a prostitute, and so the local paper took every opportunity to put in this guy's name, Mike Callahan, next to dead hooker every other day for the entire campaign.
Yeah.
And which was a total garbage. It was just none of it was true.
Yeah.
But they just like, that's what they do.
They'll
And so you realize, so you got to, in one sense, like, did they spell his name right? Well, they did. But it's not exactly what you want. But so part of it is, there's some, I look back and I see Donald Trump's strategy of how he did it and how he worked on controversy, how he was able to, he pegged and identified the weaknesses in his opponents incredibly well. And I give him a lot of credit for that.